All right, y'all. What is up? What is going on? We're doing our little workshop on a Thursday. It's more like a late night hangout kind of thing, but same thing as we've been doing. The same thing we did earlier today was just, people had questions. We just had interactions, started talking about certain things ongoing, certain things with veterans. I just posted a video on the whole people who are getting $5,000 back nonsense. Um, you got no sound plot? Let me see. It's showing that it's receiving the sound, but for some reason, why am I having this issue? Okay, well, let me see something. Advanced properties, that's all there. So you're not getting any sound plot? Because it's like showing that it's, which is weird because it's showing up that it's showing. So I don't know if TikTok, if you got no sound, if you can't hear it, let me know. Cause then I can try to fix it. But the thing is, it's showing up as it there is sound, so that's why I'm like confused. Cause it should be listening in and it should be hearing what I'm saying. Or do I mute this one and have that one? But that one still doesn't work well, so I'm not sure. Like, let me know, plot, if you hear me now, because you should be able to hear it because it's coming through. It's coming through the. It's coming through this microphone, but it's being sent to my other computer to basically bounce it off of it. So it might work. It was working before, but for some reason it's not working, I guess. So that way, but I do have the chat up so people can see the chat between all the different I switched over to TikTok. I could hear you there, but not here. That's interesting. So you can hear me off of TikTok, but you can't hear me on Twitch. I don't even know what to do with that. Like I seriously don't. That's interesting. So you can hear me there, but you can hear me on TikTok, but you can't hear me on there. So it's kind of weird that you can hear me like you're able to hear me on TikTok, even though it's being fed into it that way, which is crazy. So that's the crazy part. Like TikTok can hear me, but Twitch can't. I may have to drop the Twitch one, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm probably I switch over to yeah. So I'm not entirely sure. I appreciate you for letting me know, plot, but I'm not entirely sure why that's happening because it's showing that I have sound, but I don't know why it's not populating. So on TikTok, it is showing that I have sound, and it's populating there, but it's just basically the I don't know. On Twitch, most people don't pay attention to it on Twitch because most of the time it's gaming. So unless veterans are gamers and stuff like that, which we do have our gaming page um on YouTube that we're doing, and we use the Twitch one to do that off of there just so veterans can like hang out and stuff and play. But most of the time this is more for just a beneficial thing to get people just have people asking questions if people have anything to do with benefits that they have questions or any thoughts on it just to share so that way veterans are becoming more aware because I had this conversation well, I wouldn't say it was a conversation, but I had this I posted a question just to try to figure out, what people felt or how people thought about things. And then one of the answers was that more people us as veterans need to start getting together, talking to our senators, talking to our representatives, talking to the people that basically make these changes that affect us going forward. Um, and the one thing I responded with was one of the biggest issues that we have as veterans or for veterans or shit in general. I don't even think we could just minimize it and just say veterans only. I think it's for everyone in general. A lot of the offices being held, a lot of the jobs, a lot of the stuff is being held by the older generation. A lot of the younger generations do not care for those jobs. A lot of younger generation do not believe in working as a public service because they see how much money you can make contracting. Hence, look at Doge finding all this money, and that's paid to contractors. But that's something that is just like us as generations don't we aren't filling those slots. We're not filling those positions. We're not looking to get into those positions. A lot of those positions are being held by older people that got to say they're older. They're not they're on their way out. Like look at a lot of these politicians. Most of these politicians are like past retirement age. If you are a politician and you are past retirement age, that means you should have retired already. You shouldn't be in there because by the time anything that gets implemented actually happens, you'll be long gone. So you making and deciding and dictating and saying what you got to say is detrimental to the future of this country because you won't be here for it. So if you're deciding because of your old ethics or your old way of thinking that, oh, this is the way it should be, that's not how this new generation agrees or how this new generation talks. Um, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't say anything about, I guess, is just like it's very difficult to find that information because it's just like you can't who's replacing them? Who's replacing these people? Who's actually taking part to replace these people? Who's actually doing what is needed to actually make progress? Because the thing is nobody wants to be a public servant. Like me, I'm about to finish my master's degree in public administration, but that's to be able to develop and make policies. But mostly it's just because I'm a concerned veteran that wants to fix stuff for veterans. But at the same time, it's just like, hold on, I want to do this. Most other people don't want to do this because it's not a glorified job. Being a public servant is not a glorified job. You don't get all the hoop and hollering and all that stuff. You get what you get. So it's just like looking into it is just like, okay, hmm, how do we fix this so that how do we fix this so that veterans and people are taking care of it and are actually paying attention to these things? Because a lot of times it's not. It is a passionate job. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. For some reason, it's not populating on the thing. I'm not sure why that is. Um, but it's just like most people ain't talking about that. A lot of people don't want to diagnose that. A lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's just like we don't have enough public servants anymore, and that's why we're running into the problem that we are running into now. You have all these people, um, that don't want to do anything. Not that they don't want to do anything, but at the same time, it's just like nobody wants to work in the public sector when you can make twice as much in the private sector. Why would I put myself in a position to work for the public when the public is just going to ridicule or say like that? So it's like it's something that you want to do, something that you want to fix, something that you want to be a part of to help assist people. Um, I was just like, and it's funny because it's like you have veterans doing it. I'm a veteran. I can see the stuff in the background. Um, but it's just like as a veteran, you see these things, and it's just like, okay, how do we assist other veterans? Because the thing is veterans are losing their job now, which not surprising. But it's just like, okay, how do we take care of this issue? How as veterans do we fix it? How as veterans do we start supporting each other? How as veterans do we have these conversations? How as veterans do we start aligning each other to actually benefit our future? Because the thing is most of the people that are making these decisions right now are old. I'm sorry to say, y'all old. A lot of people are old. They're not doing anything. Their thought process is out of the out. The older generations, that's it. You're done with, bro. Like you're done. You need to let the younger people take over. The younger people have different mentalities. We have different atmospheres. We have better technology. We have better institutions. But the thing is some of these people are just so old and so stuck in their old ways that they're scared of change. They're scared to adapt. They're scared of the possibility that they will be rendered obsolete. And that's what I'm starting to think is just like they're starting to look at it as like, you know what? I'm fucking not as good as these people. It doesn't mean technology means better. It does not mean that. But the thing is technology has changed the availability, the accessibility, or the enabling of just doing things that in their time was not possible. You didn't have look in those days they didn't have a GPS system. You were not able to punch in. You had to know how to read a map. Most people now don't know how to read a map. But now you don't need to know how to read a map. All you got to do is, I'm going here. Hey, I'm going to this location. I need directions. You can do that. That little change is different. The internet brings a lot of stuff. Like now, even with like Chat GPT and all this AI stuff, it helps advance the cause. It helps advance people because now it's just like, hey, you're learning shit that you weren't able to learn. For some reason, Twitch cannot hear me. I don't know why that is. But TikTok can, and TikTok is being fed to. Hold on, let me see something. Okay, now you should be able to hear me on Twitch. Let me know if you can hear me on Twitch now. Um yeah, the thing is that's the thing though, AR. It's just like the new generations are failing to learn what the older generations developed. And the older generations are scared to learn what the now I can't uh okay, so Twitch can hear me now. Now I don't know if TikTok can hear me. All right, now TikTok. Let me see if you can hear me now because I changed the setting. Because one setting was giving the output to TikTok, but not giving it there. My shit is always it's always something, but I'm trying to do something different here. Because the thing is I am streaming on my YouTube channel, which is the main thing for the Veteran Awareness Project. Then I'm streaming on Twitch, which is usually the gaming channel. That's just my personal gaming channel. And then I'm here on TikTok where I do this. This is my main channel. And it was just like, then we have the other channel. AR, I'd love to have you up, but I don't know how confusing that's gonna be to try to figure out sound. Because I would have to figure out sound so that because the thing is TikTok is on my other computer. So I don't think I would be able to hear you if you were talking. I wouldn't be able to hear you unless I was sitting at that other. It's confusing. I'm gonna figure it out though. I'm gonna figure it out. Please let me know any other times we're doing this. Please let me know. I would like to have guests on here to have them, just to be able to listen and have chats with people. So definitely that's something I am going to work on figuring out, so that way I can have people off of TikTok join in, or have people off of YouTube join in, or just people tune in from all these different platforms, but then still be able to hear each other and still have a conversation. Because with TikTok, you have the little boxes and people will show up and you'll be able to talk that way and have conversation. But with the other ones, it's not like there's no, I would have to say that there's no incorporating factor for all of them. So once I figure that out, best believe we gonna be straight out on everywhere. Everybody gonna hear, everybody gonna have these conversations. But that's the that's the that's the main thing. We'll figure it out. If I do my lives just strictly on TikTok off my phone, then I'd be able to do it, but people can't hear you. So that's why I use it off the TikTok studio, but that should be acting up like crazy. Um, but yeah. But yeah, like I was saying with that stuff is just like you have a lot of stuff that's being implemented that is just old. Like in the matter when I say it this way, I say it like for veterans. When I say veterans, when you start looking at veterans laws, let's look at veterans laws. Like you can go ahead and look at if you're a veteran, even if you're not a veteran, you could be a dependent or a kid. Um, can you pin your TikTok? Hold on. The fuck is just cruise on? I'll put this in here. So that's my TikTok for the people on YouTube and for the people on Twitch. That is my TikTok. I'm on each one. I like being on I like being on YouTube more because that one is where I get most of. That's where I run the channel from. That's where I run the Veteran Awareness Project from. So everybody gets to tune in there, and that's where I post videos and stuff like that to help educate and give awareness to stuff. But the reason I do it like this is because if I wanted to, now instead of like off my phone on TikTok, I can't do this, which I can't switch it so that that way if I need to share something with you or share a document or share some piece of information, I can do that through here on my computer. So now it's just like, hey, we're talking about the Code of Federal Regulations, or when I have my workshops on Sundays, you can tune into the workshops on Sundays, but I'm literally showing you exactly where you have to go, where the documentation is, and where the .gov site is. I don't go off of third-party sites or anything like that. It's basically you are getting the information where you need to get it from. So it's not a surprise when it's just like, oh, this came out. I was like, oh, he got it from this site. Oh, it's a .gov site. I could go look this up. And I'll always copy the links and put it there. But it's just easier for me to have these chats like this because now I can set it up where you can see what I'm talking about and we can explain it and we can go more in depth. So if you have a question pertaining to benefits, entitlements, or even like disability claims, you can just ask it and we'll go into the code or we'll go into the va.gov site and we'll go wherever we need to just make sure you obtain that information, because that's the thing that most people lack and don't get is just that, hey, if you don't know where they're finding the information, you're not going to use it. And we spoke on that earlier today where it's just like all the benefits that veterans have, there's I don't even know how to say how many resources us as veterans have, but the amount that isn't getting used, that's the problem we run into because we're not using the benefits that are being given to us. We served our country, we sacrificed for our country. There's resources after the fact for us. It's just most veterans don't know where to go, don't know where to find it, don't know where it's at. So it's just like they go unused. And with anything that happens, like once you serve, you know that once that budget is not used, that shit gets dropped down. So it's easy to cut funding for programs that aren't being used. So that's why it's just like educating veterans on how to use these resources which are available to you. It's not like you scheme in the system or something like that. It's just literally these are programs and resources that were made for you and created because other veterans had these issues for you to obtain. But at the same time, a lot of these things, like AR said, they're antiquated. You have policies still. It like I said, if you go into your state policies, you can go into some of your policies and you will see that some of the stuff is like for World War One. World War One was a very long time ago. World War One right now has no vets alive. There's no surviving vets from World War One that I'm aware of. And if there is, there's maybe like max 15. And there may be like 100 plus that they're close to passing away. So if you're looking at your state benefits and you mean to tell me that all of a sudden, yeah, your tax exemption is good for if you were part of World War One, you would get this tax exemption. Bro, they ain't even there. We just had Iraq. We just had Afghanistan. We've had these wars, but we haven't had stuff being changed to fulfill or give the same benefits to those veterans as it is for other ones. Like, look how long it took for veterans from Vietnam to get something done. Dealing with Agent Orange, dealing with toxic exposure, dealing with all these different things. And now all of a sudden it's just like, you know what? Let's give them the PACT Act. So if you're dealing with a cancer or whatever like that, we're going to cover it now. Whereas before, there was nothing in existence. Mind you, a lot of these Vietnam veterans are at that age now that they are way older or they're so far into their treatment with another thing that is just like, oh, now the VA wants to cover it. I was just like, well, the VA wasn't taking care of me before. Jermaine, what's up, my man? Good to see you, brother. But it's just like those are the things that it's just like people don't talk about. It's just like most people are just talking about other stuff. They're mad at this. They're mad at the VA. They're mad at it's like us as veterans just saying something and not actually putting the action behind it is what's hurting us as veterans. A lot of us are talking like, oh, we need better this, we need better that. Yeah, I agree. But none of that is going to be implemented and none of that is going to be put into work unless we start putting it to work. We're not going to have policies change to affect all these new veterans that are going to come out from Afghanistan and Iraq. Mind you, these were 20-year plus wars. Service members joined in 2021 or 2001 after 9/11. So that means you would be in service for, let's say, 24 years now. But some people decided to join a bit after that. And it's just like, you see that, and it's just like, you have all these people that joined after 9/11, but where are those benefits being secured or transferred over to these people? Because you'll see that like Vietnam vets in certain states have like, oh, you got this thing, or you have like, let's say it's for a lot of them it's like school stuff. So you have like a college fund or a college grant or a college thing that your state provides, but it's only for Vietnam vets. And it was just like, well, if you were able as the state to do that, you should be able to continue that as service members for Afghan and Iraq war veterans. It shouldn't be that we're waiting and waiting till something happens. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, we do got to take care of these people. It was just like, you were able to take care of the Vietnam veterans. Desert Storm, some. You don't see nothing likewise of that information. So it's just like, okay, if you're pertaining and giving me this information, then how are we fixing things? How are we benefiting any veteran if you can't tell me, you literally can't tell me what the issues are? You literally can't tell me what benefit you are giving them, even though they served this country the same way those other vets did. Weren't the same wars, were different wars, different operations, but the thing is they were still veterans. So it's just we have to incorporate that in there. But it's just like, hey, if we're not getting together as veterans and actually sitting down and talking about these things and saying like, hey, you know what, this is an idea. Because while I've been doing this channel, I've come up with plenty of ideas just to help out vets. But I need that public administration degree. Once I have that, I have policy writing ability. Now it's okay. Now I have the degree to back up that what I'm making or creating can hold some weight. Because if you don't have the, basically, if you don't have the degree behind it, they're gonna be like, who the hell is this dude trying to write policy? And then you get looked at like you're a psychopath. Like, bro, you're not even educated. And it's just like, why would we listen to you? But one thing I proposed was something simple for vets, right? Is the easiest thing we can do is, you see how we get our COLA change every year, right? We have COLA every year. We have a raise in our disability compensation. Our disability compensation this year was 2.5. The year prior to that was 3.2. The year prior to that, I think, was the 8.7. But it's just like, it's not a steady thing. But look at inflation. Look at how it's changed. Look how inflation has gone up. The the cost of living didn't change according to inflation. Inflation was definitely higher than 2.5%. But we didn't get a 2.5. We got a 2.5%. We didn't get the raise of what COLA should have been or what inflation did. So what I was thinking and what I was proposing is that there is a 4% minimum for our raise. So as veterans, you will always receive, no matter what is going on through the world, inflation, no inflation, whatever's going on, veterans would receive a 4% minimum every year. No matter what is going on, veterans receive a 4% minimum. How that changes is 4% is the minimum. So let's say next year is supposed to be 2.7. We're still getting 4%. The COLA rate changes, but we still get 4% no matter what. So if it's lower than the 4%, we get 4%. If it's higher than the 4%, we get whatever the higher is. Because basically what you're saying is that the cost of living has gone up 4% every year. The reason I said 4% was because usually when you get a promotion happens or something like that, or a raise happens, it's usually like a 3% raise that people get on a yearly basis. Or when they do get those raises, it's usually like a 3% raise. So us being disabled veterans should get an extra percent because we're disabled. Or it's just like we have issues that these people do not have. But we got these issues because of our time in service. It wasn't like we got these issues and they just came out of nowhere. It's more we're asking for these benefits because we went through the system, we went through the country, we served our country, and now we are not the same people we used to be. So that's why I say a 4% minimum. If it goes lower, we get 4%. If it goes higher, we match whatever it is. But that way, at least veterans know, and it's not a guessing game. It's not a thought process. It's just like, hey, look, you're gonna receive a 4% increase. It's not like how we're doing with with Doge right now. It's like, hey, you're about to get a $5,000 check. Y'all gullible as shit for that one. I can't even. I can't even. I can't even say anything to that. Y'all gullible as shit for that. But things like that is what people need to realize that need to be changed. Those are the things that veterans need to come together and start talking about and having these conversations of like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what we can do. What we're doing is we're making sure that veterans across the board, no matter what generation you serve, no matter what generation or future generations, receives a 4% increase every year, no matter what, to basically match what the private sector does. If the private sector is raising and giving raises of 3%, we can do 4%. Or even if they want to set it as a minimum of 3, that's fine. The way I see it is that we get a constant rate that doesn't change, so that way there's no I wouldn't say deception, but there's no mental anxiety waiting to see, because the amount of people that wait to see how much that raise is going to be is crazy. But then they compare it to the cost of living and they're like, bro, eggs is how much and the cost of living is only 2.5. It was just like people start asking questions and it's just like they never give a good answer because it's off the CIP. And it's just like you look at that and it's just like it's not adding up if the inflation went up so high, but we're not getting the same amount as the inflation went up. So prices keep going up, wages haven't gone up, our compensation is barely going up. So it's just like, how are we taking care of veterans in that way? And those are the things. But like I said, that's that antiquated mentality where they're like, you know what? We're not going to provide this. We're not going to change this. Because the thing is my generation didn't have to do that. And it's like a lot of the like, and that's the conversation that goes to like the older veterans sometimes feel like, oh, these young vets don't do this, they don't do that. I was just like, in your day you didn't have the same stuff we had nowadays. It wasn't the same fight, it wasn't the same systems. We have more computerized systems now. Now it's different. Weapons are better. Weapons have surpassed what they used to be. Technology has, computers has, the systems, the sat system, all those systems are now more efficient and better than what it was back in the day. But the thing is you're still going off of what you did in your day and trying to compare it to what the new day is. That's a failure to adapt. We're not adapting to the times. Yes, not everything needs to be adapted to. Like, newer generations come up with newer stuff. There's different stuff. We're not gonna see eye to eye on these things. The thing that we can see eye to eye on, which we fail to do sometimes as veterans, is we're all veterans. No matter what year you served, no matter where you deployed to, if you did or didn't deploy, whatever your MOS is, whatever you did, you are still a veteran. So any benefits or any changes comes to you. No matter what your political affiliation and stuff like that, it goes to you. But at the same time, if we're not working together to make it so that that older generation is assisting the newer generation, we're failing each other. We're failing veterans as veterans because, hey, that older generation should be the ones pushing, like, hey, man, y'all definitely need this. We didn't have this. but we should work on something like this. This is a program that would have benefited me in these days. So if I know it benefited a bunch of veterans back then and we didn't have it, we should work on it now. That's how they created the HUD-VASH program, which is the homeless voucher program for homeless veterans to receive a voucher to get into permanent housing. That's because we had so many veterans that were out in the street. And people don't realize that, but then people will be mad. And the other thing we spoke about earlier is just like, it's, how can I put it? It it's putting it in that way where it's just like you have all these resources, but a lot of veterans have a negative mindset or a negative thought process when it comes to being a veteran or dealing with the VA. We have to stop bad mouthing stuff just because we had a bad experience. The same way with the military. Some people had shit ass time in the service. Trust me. I understand that. I understand that fully. But at the same time, that was the experience you had. Unfortunately, it wasn't beneficial. Unfortunately, it sucked. But that doesn't mean every other person is going to have that experience. Not everybody that joins the military is going to have a bad time. You can have two people join the military at the same time, go to different places and have two different experiences. Shit. The crazy thing is that I joined with my cousin, not realizing he was my cousin until we were about like 2 weeks before shipping out. Because our moms talked and they was just like, you know, Kosa, you know, so and so is joining. And I'm just like, word. I was like, word. And then the next day, when we went to see the recruiter, we looked at each other and we were just there, and he was just like, "Damn, bro, I didn't know that was you." I was like, I hadn't seen him in like 10 plus years, but it's just like he went, joined in. He went to Afghanistan as soon as he got in. After he came out, we went to basic together, shipped out together, got put in different companies, graduated. He went on to go straight to Afghanistan after he got to his duty station. I went to Kuwait for a bit. And it was just like two different experiences. He got out after one contract. I ended up doing 10 and serving in other places after that. So it's just like that happens, and people are just like, oh shit. I was just like, I looked at it this way, but two different experiences. He decided he had enough after one contract. I decided, you know what? I'll sign up to go to Hawaii. Shit, I'll even re-enlist again to go to Germany. I was just like, these are chances of a lifetime that I'm not going to be able to get just working a regular job. And that was a rewarding experience for me. Living in Germany for 4 years was a rewarding experience for me. Not everybody gets to do that. But at the same time, I know people that were in Germany that didn't have a great time while being in Germany. So each person's perspective, each person's experience is completely different when it comes to it. So it's just like it's hard for me to it's hard to look at it that way because of the fact that it's just like so many people are just so negative about certain things. And it's just like, hey, we can't be negative about the fact that it's just like, hey, some of us had a good time, some of us didn't. But at the same time, at the end of the day, you're still a veteran. I'm still a veteran. If we're not working together to benefit each other or benefit or like what I do here, where it's just like, hey, if you got questions about benefits, just ask. Any question is a good question. Why? Because you may be giving information to another veteran that did not know that question. They could have seriously not known, like, oh shit, you know what? That's a pretty damn good question. And it's just like, you know what? Oh shit. Maybe I should look into that. Maybe I shouldn't look into that or stuff like that. And it's just like you look at it in that manner and it just like it changes a lot because now you have veterans that are asking these questions that aren't readily available. They're available, but you can't ask what you don't know. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can't ask like, hey, how does this work? How does the VRE program work? How does the dependence education assistance work? How does the VA loan work? How does what else? Like I said, there's so many programs and so many resources that are there that just veterans don't know what they are. They don't use them. They don't obtain them. They don't look at them in that manner. So it's just like, you know what? It's kind of hard to do that. Um, in that case, because it's just like, okay, where's this information coming from? I don't know. It's coming from the VA. It's coming from the .gov sites. It's coming from the resources that help assist veterans, or it's coming from those nonprofit organizations like the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. It's coming from the American Legion. It's coming from the Disabled American Veterans, which some of these organizations have entities and ties to congressmen, which they're the ones sometimes trying to pass acts or like, hey, I know with the VFW, I've received plenty of emails just like, hey, we here at the BFW have been pushing for this resolution or for this bill, and we need you to call your congressman and we need you to talk to your senator to make sure that they are going ahead and voting yes for this bill. And I've gotten plenty of emails from that, but the thing is that's people fighting for us. But like I said, these are older generation vets. We don't have many newer vets joining these entities or joining these organizations that are going to continue that fight to speak for us. A lot of these veteran associations are like Vietnam vets. Those Vietnam vets, they're getting older. A lot of Afghanistan and Iraq vets are not there. You don't see them. Like I'm part of the VFW. The post isn't near me. I don't go to it. I don't have the time to do it. But at the same time, with a public administration degree, hey, maybe I could start working with them or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I can't make any change if I'm not speaking to them. We as veterans can't make any changes if we're not speaking to each other. If we're always nagging at each other or trying to find ways to differentiate or had like some veterans just want to have a dick measuring contest to see who the fuck is bigger or badder, but you're still a fucking veteran. At the end of the day, your disability rating is still a disability rating, which is still going to be the same pay that you get if y'all end up with the same disability rating. No matter how much of a dick measuring contest you want to have. If you at 100%, you're still going to get paid at 100%. It doesn't change. If you get 20%, you're still going to get 20%. Everybody's still going to be at 20%. You still get paid the same. The same way when you were in the service, you had your rank and everybody that was at that rank get that pay. You didn't get anything extra. You didn't get anything special. You didn't get extra benefits because, oh, you hold this position. No, you got the same pay. E2 pay was E2 pay. 20% is 20%. You might have like SMCK and stuff like that, but those are different. But it's just like the compensation the same. No matter how you want to go against veterans, no matter how you want to dislike another veteran, you still a veteran and it's still a veteran classification. So it's just like if as veterans you can't get this in there, you can't get this done, you can't do it. It's just like it makes it damn near impossible to be successful. I can't be a successful person if you aren't assisting me. If you're a vet and you're always against me or always talking down towards it or not wanting to have part of it or have a conversation on it, it was just like, how are you going to be successful? How are we going to move the goalpost forward? Or how are we going to proceed and move the ball downfield if we don't even want to play ball together? That's like, these are the conversations that need to be had by vets. Vets need to have that. Vets need to understand that. They need to understand that this is what changes things. This is how we make progress. This is how we enforce things that make it that we can be successful as veterans by assisting each other. If we're not doing that, we're not going to be successful. We can't help another veteran if we don't want to help ourselves. Meaning that we have to learn and understand what it is that it takes to become a veteran. But most of the time people don't understand that. People don't look into those things. And that's, I think, one of the things we have the biggest issue is that people don't understand that. People don't want to understand that. People don't want to hear that. People don't want to. People don't want to assist veterans, and it's like it's hard to do that. And it's just like I can't. You can only do so much on your own, but if you don't get the assistance of other veterans to help you facilitate changes and making progress and making improvements, we can't get nowhere. We're gonna be stuck in the same position where we are now, where a lot of cuts will happen, a lot of benefits will be taken away, because we're not using them. Not because they weren't useful. It's just veterans aren't using the benefits that are afforded to them or available to them. So that's going to take away and remove a lot of stuff that is just like, you know what? You could have used that program. Shit, you need that right now. But since veterans before weren't using it, they figured, well, it's not necessary or it's not needed. Like I said earlier, there's 19 million vets out there, and only 8 million of them actually use the VA healthcare. And they're overwhelmed now. And that's not even half of the amount of veterans that are available. That's the even crazy part. There's not even half the amount of veterans available using the VA healthcare, and we are in the position that we're in now. So just keep that in mind. But I can't. You can only do so much, but that's why I do these. I do these workshops. I do Q&As. People want to ask questions. Go ahead, ask questions. It doesn't matter what the question is. Um, if it's something that needs to be looked up, I go on my computer and look it up, and you get that information that way. Um, but a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't look at it that way. A lot of people don't put these things together, and it's just like it's only detrimental to us as veterans. It's not detrimental to anybody else. The ones that lose out are veterans. All of us, no matter what era you were in, no matter what location you were in. Like I said, everybody ends up losing if we lose these benefits. Because the thing is the biggest losers, I would say, for all these changes and anything that may be upcoming is future veterans. So those veterans that are still serving right now, still on active duty right now, those are the ones that are gonna feel the brunt of this. Why? Because of the fact that the benefits that we had the ability to use, they're not going to be able to use because they may not exist at that point. Because, like I said, disability compensation is not going to be removed. I don't think any administration is dumb to try to rile up 19 million of us, whether old or young, to say, "Hey, we're taking your money away." Bro, you put me in this position. Like I didn't choose to be jacked up and have a bad back, bad bones and all this stuff. I didn't choose to do this. I didn't have this shit before I joined the military. But all of a sudden, I have a damn body of a damn 60-year-old at the end of it. I was just like, I got a body of a 60-year-old, and I'm 40. Well, I'm turning 40. But you got soldiers that are like in their 20s that feel like they're in their 40s. So you got an extra 20 years added on top of your body because of all the excessive stuff that you ended up doing that wasn't really necessary. It was good training at points, but then you ended up losing a lot. You ended up losing mobility, flexibility, mental capacity, mental capabilities, and mental ability to process things. And it's just like those things are take a toll on this. But hey, if we keep changing the stuff and you ain't saying nothing about it, then I'm gonna keep changing stuff. And that's what they're doing. If it's to benefit you, you have to keep talking to them. You have to make that instance where, you know what, how do we benefit veterans? How do we give them this information? How do we get it to them? And it's just like the information is there. Like, hey, most people still don't know that the fact that the GI Bill got extended for another year if you serve more than one contract. All you got to do is check to see if you're eligible for it. And if you are, since you served more than one contract, boom, you just got an extra year worth of schooling that you can go to. Doesn't mean you have to use the whole thing, but then you can also use the VRE program. But an extra year of the GI Bill, that could be credentialing towards something you already got your master's in or your bachelor's in. And that just makes you look better because now you have a certification or credentialing that basically you can use. So like I said, those are just things that just like that people don't have the conversation of. People don't, I wouldn't say they don't want to have the conversation. They just don't look into those conversations because they don't know what to ask. They don't know how to manage these things. They don't know where to ask. They don't know where to look. So most of the time it goes without searching for. People don't look for these things because it's just like, how am I supposed to find this? You want me to find information that I had no idea existed. And it makes it difficult to get to that point because it's just like, we got benefits. There's benefits that you can add on top of benefits that most people aren't aware of. There's so many things that are available to veterans. It's just like, it's sad to look at it and just be able to talk to veterans and veterans be like, yo, I had no idea about that. And I've helped plenty of people on the YouTube channel, on the YouTube especially. I've helped plenty of people just giving them suggestions, giving them answers. I'm like, I'm not charging you for this. It's free information. This is just something I do to help assist veterans. Do I make money off of it? Not really. I don't really make anything off of this. I make money off of people watching the videos on YouTube, and when people donate, if they donate through the website or they donate through YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch, that's the only way I make money. Otherwise, TikTok doesn't pay me for people viewing it. You only make money off of TikTok if people actually gift you stuff. Twitch, you get ads, not that much, or subscription. Same thing with YouTube. But the thing is just like at the end of the day, it's just like I the stuff I'm doing, I know is benefiting a veteran down the road. You may not have known how to file a disability claim correctly. You don't know about how to fill out a nexus letter. You don't know how the template looks like. You don't know how you're supposed to present it to your doctor so your doctor can fill it out as a private thing, or even a DBQ. Most people don't even know what the fuck a DBQ is. If you don't know what a DBQ is, don't know what a nexus letter is, and you submitting for filing for something a year after the fact you've already been out the military, you're going to get denied. I'm sorry to say it, you're going to get denied. And then you're going to blame the VA. You're going to say that the VA sucks or the VA rated didn't know what they're doing. And it's just like an ongoing process of just like, we need to make sure we are correct. We need to make sure we are doing our due diligence as veterans to make sure we are good to go. Because if we're not doing that, it's not a VA rater's problem or a VA rater's priority to make sure you are doing good. It's not the VA raters. That's your priority. That's your problem. That's your issue you have to fix. If you're a veteran and you're struggling, how can you make yourself better? If you need to go talk to a mental health, go make an appointment. For most veterans, it's free. For mental health evaluations and mental health taken care of, most of that stuff is just free for veterans. You don't got to pay for it. Because the thing is why? They want to make sure you're being taken care of. Does that always happen? No, because most veterans don't know what those resources are. They don't look for the resources. They don't obtain them. And it's just like, you know what? Who loses out? The veteran, because you didn't know any better. Now it's just making sure to change that. But the same thing is just like, I have a ton of veterans that'll tune in and some won't even say anything. Some will just hang out and just see if I say something cool or say something that's just, you know what, that's actually pretty good. I might use that. And then they decide, you know what, let me add this on there. Otherwise, most times veterans don't even bother with the stuff. So it's just like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to fix this? How can we make these changes? How can I assist you? How can I guide you, I guess is the better way of doing it. Because that's all I do. I'm trying to guide you to better resources, guide you to the benefits you've earned. Because you've earned them. You served your time. You did that. And it's just like, how do we assist veterans by doing that? If a veteran doesn't know, a veteran doesn't know. But then it's on other veterans like, hey, if you have this information, make sure to pass the information along. Make sure to educate that veteran. Make sure you're giving them correct information, because that's the biggest thing. A lot of the times veterans are getting misinformation, and nowadays misinformation runs rampant all over the place. People come up with all sorts of stuff. I heard this, I heard that, and people run with it as if it's like, and it's just like, wow. I was like, you see people give messages and stuff like that, and it's just like, and it's like you see it, and it's just like, you know what? People can be successful with these things. There's a way to be successful, but you have to do it the right way. It's managing, knowing what you're doing, having the knowledge to interpret what you're being told and to interpret what is being required of you. So that way you go to a CMP exam, you go to a disability claim or whatever, you have a well put together claim. Because if you don't have that, you're just wasting your time. You need to make sure your shit is good to go. Your shit is correct. Your shit has your documentation, your evidence, all that stuff. If you don't have that, you're not going to be successful. Unfortunately, you won't be successful in those cases. So that's where you need to learn to adjust. You need to learn to ask questions. Like shit, you have all these entities that are charging you thousands of dollars for this shit. If they got a free consultation, ask the free questions. Don't mean you got to pay them after that. If you want to pay, you can. If they gave you the green, go ahead. Like, you know what, this guy makes sense. So it's okay. Then go ahead and do it. But otherwise, you can learn and educate yourself on how to do it and file for yourself. Keep all that money to yourself, and you better off doing it. But if you don't do that and you don't learn that, it don't make a difference. But it's all right, y'all. But it's kind of quiet. I guess Thursday night, most people are not on. I guess Thursday night is not a night to stream. I guess we may have to change the nighttime one. During the day, it seems to be a bit better. More people tune in, um, and we'll go about it that way. But at least we know we can have everything streaming on all the different platforms. Everybody can hear me on all the platforms. So this is what we'll do on Sunday, 12 noon Central Time. We have our disability workshop for the Veteran Awareness Project. The workshop is going to be on the Code of Federal Regulations, which is something most veterans have no fucking clue what it is. And this is just basically to go over it. If people have questions on certain disabilities, it's just like, hey, let's show you what the ratings are for it and what the description is of getting that rating fulfilled. But yeah, all this stuff is up to you. You do the heavy lifting, you do the work. You're the one that has to maintain, establish, and take care of what you're doing. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to win a claim. You're going to have a problem with the claim, and you will have a problem. You legitimately going to have a problem. So let's avoid the appeal process. Let's avoid all that stuff. Let's get straightforward. Let's get our disability claims correctly done, correctly filed. Like I said, if you have your disability claim and you cannot provide your claim to an outside source that has no idea who you are and they can't tell you what's wrong with you, why are you expecting a VA rater to do the same? Even though the VA rater knows why your documentation or why your file is there, if they can't tell what the hell it is and a person outside of the VA can't tell what it is, that's the same thought process that VA rater may have. And all it does is hurt you because you're not going to win. But that's it. We'll see about these things. We'll keep on having these, like I said, every noon, 12 noon. Tune in, check out. Hopefully you gain some information and just have questions prepared. If you have any questions, make sure to jot them down. Put them in the comments. Put them in any one of my videos comments, because I'll read those and I'll see it and I'll be like, you know what? This is a question that this person asked. Let's answer this as one of the first things that we do. Because that's what I do at the beginning of the streams, is like, hey, if people got questions and I haven't answered them on the post or whatever, we're gonna do it on the workshop to make sure that it's live, it's on video. If the person's tuning in, they can get that answer and they get that information. It doesn't always happen that way, because it's trying to find days and time periods where people look, it's later on in the evening. I know if I started earlier, probably would have garnered more attention, but it's about to be Friday. People still got work tomorrow. On Sunday, you still got to work the next day, but I'm not doing it so late. So that's what I said. We'll figure something out. We'll figure how to time it so that time wise it benefits everybody watching, so that everybody can understand, like, hey, 12 noon Central Time, without fail, Veteran Awareness Project workshop. We have different topics. You have questions. These are more like Q&As, me just chatting with people, talking to veterans and stuff like that, and it's just answering questions or talking about things in a regular general forum. On Sundays, it is workshop. That is workshop. We are basing our stuff on there. You can still ask questions. Don't get me wrong. You're still going to get an answer. But we're going to try to keep it to what the workshop is about, so that way people are getting educated, people are learning the stuff, and if you got questions referring to it or something sparks your thought process, like, you know what, I didn't think about that, let me ask this, and then you can go ahead and ask, and it's just like, okay, let's get you that answer. And that's it, free of charge. Because the same way, while I'm educating y'all, I'm also educating myself more, because things continue to change. There's programs that are being instituted that some are new, and I didn't even know about till I started doing these workshops. And then from there, I learn about it. I do my research on it. And then what is it? Next week, this is what the workshop is going to be about, so that way more veterans can get this information. So like I said, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. AR. I am going to try to figure out how to do it so that we can have TikTok sound and everything on here so that everybody's able to hear it. Um, I don't know if you can push out the sound out of TikTok to other places, but if you can, that's what we're gonna do. Uh, I'll try to do my best and figure that out. We may not be able to, so it might have to be like on YouTube that we have people show up, or do a separate one just on TikTok and stuff like that. But we'll figure something out. But as always, be good to one another, take care of one another, look out for one another, and love one another, and stay marvelous while doing it, y'all. I'm just Cruz. I'm gonna sign off with the Veteran Awareness Project. Check us out on Sunday. I'll check you on the next one. Peace.